Welcome to Four Crazy Minds. I'm Destry Dex Brown.
And I'm Shay Drollinger.
I'm Eric Meekum.
Bradley Trisdale.
And special guest.
I am still James Burke, fortunately and unfortunately.
So this is part 2 of our interview hangout session podcast with James Burke.
YouTube premiere.
Our YouTube premiere.
Didn't even think
Yeah,
about
this
that.
is part
Plug
2
the
of
hell out
our
that.
YouTube premiere. Well, part 1 was our YouTube premiere. Part 2 will be
A continuation.
a continuation of part 1. And
Or-
part 3 is coming up later, so...
It'll make sense later.
Just watch it.
Or we'll all sound like bumbling idiots. One of the three.
Well, I thought that was
Well-
the whole point.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
There's 5 of us here, and 3 of us are bumbling idiots.
So, what's the topic for this one?
Wait a minute.
That's you, Brad.
Aw.
Just as outraged as you are.
Yeah, thanks for calling our guy
Well-
an idiot. You joint.
But
The topic for this podcast, for this session,
is my
I
religion.
can't do it.
And what would
It's
that be?
copyrighted, but I want to say it.
is professional wrestling.
What's that?
Just
Do
missed
it.
Do it, Brad.
Do it.
Professional wrestling! Oh, yeah!
Yes.
Which is funny because, kind of on the topic, in a game that me and Brad played recently, it's called Sky of 5. It's a JRPG kind of game. And one of the characters is Red Magnus. And he is literally a combination of Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage.
And The Rock.
And The Rock, because he says jabronis a lot.
Huh.
So, he has, like, Macho Man's voice, but he's like, brother and jabroni and
Well,
Red Magnus.
if you ever listen to old Macho Man was, ooh yeah, brother.
Alright,
Right,
so
yeah.
Brother a lot.
Old Macho Man
Yeah,
said
he's
brother
lit-
a lot.
he's lit-
That's an old wrestler thing, is
But,
brother and sister.
Red Magnus.
In fact, we still do that in
First time I
business.
heard him, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, you know, all these wrestlers just came to mind, and it's just so annoying as a character, but we couldn't stop using him.
He's my favorite. He's super.
You know, that's still something that is used in the business. If, like, when I was wrestling, if I was coming into a territory, that someone would introduce me to the promoter, and they'd be like, this is a good brother.
Oh, yeah?
He's a good brother. He's a strong hand. He's a good worker. He's a good brother.
I think that kind of language goes back to like the NWA and like you know Jarrett. I don't know. I don't know. I wonder what the
Brother-
roots are. I don't know.
Brother was used in old carny talk. At the carnivals, when professional wrestling was carnivals and stuff,
Ryan.
they knew you were in on the act by the use of brother and
Oh, really?
speaking,
That I didn't know.
saying jabroni
And
for someone that doesn't know what the business is. That's a jabroni.
And that
or
was-
a jobber.
and the
That's someone
term
that's new.
Kayfabe.
Jabroni.
That's where that was back.
That's
then,
where
too.
kayfabe
yeah,
came from.
Kayfabe was back then. Yeah.
All come from the Carney
Yeah.
family language there.
Yeah,
Right.
and actually, I still speak Kizarni, which is Carney speak that a lot of pro wrestlers used to use. If you were backstage and someone that wasn't part of the show, like a fan or something, was walking by, you'd start speaking Carney, and all that is you just put the word is, I-Z, after the first letter of the word, and then finish out the word. So it's Kizarni.
Huh.
So you spizzy Kizarni.
I think I remember reading about that. I read this really cool book called Sex, Lies, and Headlocks. I think that's the
Yes.
title of it. That's
Yes.
a really good book.
Well,
Well, and then there was the character who was literally Kizarni.
Yeah, Kizarni, because they...
And that's how he would just talk all
yeah,
the time.
they wanted to break kayfabe and all that. And I'm a fan of the modern. There are no behind the scenes in wrestling anymore. There is no kayfabe anymore. Kayfabe is dead
It was because of the curtain call, right?
to a certain extent.
Well, yeah,
It
nowadays...
was because of the curtain call, but it was also when Vince McMahon came on and said, "We are sports entertainment."
Right. Yeah.
That right there
the legal
killed kayfabe.
situation. Yeah.
Because now you see wrestlers break character all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that one story where John Cena was getting beat up by, I think, the Wyatt family, and one of his fans was sitting behind. No, he was getting beat up by the Shield, and Triple H and Stephanie are right in front of this kid, and the kid starts bawling, and so Triple H turned, broke character, started comforting the kid. And
I
stuff.
remember reading about that. I
And
never
then
saw that.
after the match, he took him backstage. And he got a whole bunch of merchandise and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to be one of those kids that gets free merch.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Like you were talking about.
I'd love to be one of those wrestlers that has merch.
Yeah.
I wrestled for several years. I'm going to have to figure out the time so someone fill in.
And then, some memorable kayfabe breaks is when Goldust lost it in WCW with 7.
With 7? Yeah, that was a pretty bad character break.
He was
He was pissed. He took off the mask, took off the hat,
Started
threw
down
it,
talking the
and
higher ups.
started saying how WCW was a piece of shit company and all that. And what happens? WWF at the time turns around and hires him back. They're like, "You fucking talk shit about them. Come
On their show.
Come back."
He had one of my favorite moves of all time.
He's the son of one of my favorite
Shattered
wrestlers
Dreams.
of all time.
Shattered
Shattered
Dreams.
Dreams. I had a feeling it was
If I ever had a band,
I
that's what
grew
it'd
up
be called.
Shattered Dreams. I like
Watching
it.
the WCW side of the Monday Night Wars. 'Cause
And I was
I never
WWF.
I didn't see WWF for a long time until I had met you. And then so now I'm watching WWF and WCW, and I'll have 2 TVs.
I would alternate between them on
And so-
commercials.
The big one where I started doing that is when Shane McMahon came out at Halloween Havoc.
Oh yeah, you do.
And you were literally like-
and then you just leave it on one because whatever was on one was on the other two.
Yeah, that was a crazy time when they bought out WCW. I couldn't believe. I remember watching Nitro and seeing Vince at the beginning of it. My mind just broke. It was just.
And the thing is, Ted Turner didn't need the money. He just didn't want to be in the wrestling business.
Yeah,
anymore.
as he called it, always wrestling
Oh.
business. That's what he.
I hate people that use the word wrestling.
Yeah, I do. too.
You hate me then.
But
I am a professional wrestler.
Wrestler.
No.
I
But,
love that word.
you know,
See
back
that look?
then,
That's the look.
the
No,
wrestlers-
because I have an amateur background. I started out amateur wrestling and then went pro.
but the guys who were on WCW loved that Ted Turner money.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they had guaranteed pay.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
guaranteed contracts.
And they got to determine their contract, and
Yep.
that's why a lot of big
They
names
didn't even have to
were
show
jumping
up.
We're jumping ship. It's
Bret
'cause
Hart.
They wanted that. I remember on the Stone Cold podcast, they had the Big Show on there, and he's talking to Stone Cold about how Hollywood Hulk Hogan had talked to Paul White, who's the Big Show, and said, if you want, that good money, go to WCW and work for Ted Turner. Get that guaranteed paycheck.
Yeah.
That was a big
course.
attraction for those guys. Yeah.
Of course, the Big Show started out in WCW as
That's
the
what I'm saying,
Giant.
but he had talked to Hollywood Hogan in small time shows when he was working his dues.
Paying his dues and
And then
training.
so when he went to
He
WCW,
trained out of the power plant, which was something that WCW did. That they do little shows,
Mhm.
but they were owned by WCW, and it was just to train their wrestlers.
and so
Kind of like NXT is now.
when he showed up and started talking to, I don't know, I think it was Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff or Vince Russo,
It was one of those two, and
they're brothers.
Yeah, something like that.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan said, well, this is this guy, and I'm going to lose the title to him. Or he was supposed to have a title match, and he ended up... It's when the Big Show, the Giant, won his first title.
Yep.
He originally wasn't supposed to win that match, but Hollywood made him win.
Yep.
He said in the middle of the match, it was a split decision, you're going to win. And it really put the Giant...
Yeah, put Paul White over as the Giant.
And people complain about Paul White. They just don't understand what he actually does for the company.
The thing is, he's one thing that nobody in the business ever wants to be called, but one thing that everybody wants to be.
Dependable.
A good hand. He's a good hand. He's willing to go out there and lose if they say lose, and win it if they say win.
And he's willing to put people over.
But nobody
Yeah, not a
nobody
difficult
wants
guy
to
to
be
work
nobody
with
wants to
at
be
all,
called
from what I
a good
understand.
hand, because that means you're at the end of your career.
Yeah.
You're in your twilight years. If you're a good hand.
He's kind of always been that, though.
They never put the
Didn't
world
really
title
have-
on him either.
Yeah.
Am I right? I don't think.
I think he,
Not in WWE.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In WCW, he was world champion. Yeah. Not unlike Roddy Piper. Never held the world title, but one of the.
But always had the Intercontinental title.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
That's something I'm glad.
but that's what I'm
Or
saying.
that's something
though.
I want to see brought back a lot stronger. I'm glad they brought it back.
The Intercontinental title.
Yeah, but I want to see it brought back stronger.
Yeah.
Like, how many times can you remember Big Show jumping from face to heel?
Oh, more times.
Oh,
Yeah,
more
it's
times
just-
than
yeah,
can be
That's
counted.
not, yeah. It's,
You see, whenever they need a heel drop, he's willing to do it. Whenever he
Oh,
needs to
yeah.
turn babyface, he does literally anything they ask.
And see, this is what I was talking about earlier, where kayfabe is dead. We're sitting here talking about it. Me, as someone that's been a part of the business, Shay, as someone that's been involved with the business but never been in the ring, and someone that's writing a song for a professional wrestler. We're talking about pro wrestling, and we're talking about the ins and outs of it that normal fans don't know.
Like normal podcasts nowadays, like
Let's-
Stone Cold Podcast, Talk is Jericho, those shows wouldn't be allowed.
no.
If
10,
kayfabe was a
15
thing.
years ago,
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago when kayfabe was around.
Let's talk about something that this is a hot button issue. I like to talk about it. It was a terrible thing though. At a pay-per-view in 1999, people probably know what I'm going to bring up. When
Owen?
Yep, yeah. I don't know. Should they have stopped the event? And in what manner was Vince
I
Russo?
don't think Owen would have wanted them to.
I don't either.
I think
And I
they
don't-
should have kept going with
I
the
do
event.
too. Yeah, and no matter how sensitive I
As
would be
a
about
professional wrestler, I know there's a chance that I could die in that ring.
it. Yeah.
If I do, keep the event going.
Right. I can agree with that.
And see, that was...
It's the old adage from the Carney days: the show must go on.
Yeah,
See,
and that's a
and
that's
he
a
was
show
doing a
business
thing
thing.
that they were trying to copy what Sting was doing at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
They were
the guy,
trying to kind of copy what Sting was
It was
doing,
the same
and the whole
company
blue
that-
blazer thing. And he had a quick release harness, and he triggered it a little too
the company
early.
that did Sting's stunts got a hold of Vince Russo and asked if they wanted him to, or if they wanted to try out the stunt, and Vince Russo said, "Why not?" Roddy Piper gets really into blaming Vince Russo for it. I don't, as much as as Roddy Piper is one of my absolute
Well,
favorite people, I don't know that I can say
Owen-
that Vince Russo.
Owen had done the
He had-
stunt
he had
once
done it,
before
yeah.
properly. And what it was is he had a quick release, and the line was supposed to stop above the ring, and he was supposed to flail
yeah.
and pretend like he couldn't get out, and hit that quick release and just drop on his ass in the ring. Or drop on his face in this case. Because they were lowering him down face first. And he hit that quick release too early, or something nudged the quick release at 70 feet.
70 feet, yeah.
And he dropped and hit the turnbuckle with his chest, or the rope right next to the turnbuckle with his chest, and it flung him backwards.
Regardless of what Jim Cornette says, regardless of, and I don't ever want to detract from anything that Roddy Piper says, but I don't know that I feel that Vince Russo was in any manner responsible for that. Owen talked to him before the show, and
Owen had,
but at the same time, I don't know. That's
From-
all of a thing.
from some of the stuff I've seen, and a lot of the stories I've read, Bret Hart's books and stuff like that, and Wrestling with Demons, which is
Wrestling with Shadows.
Wrestling with Shadows.
Yeah.
The Bret Hart documentary. It's Owen was apprehensive about it. He
Yeah.
didn't want to do it, but Owen was a good hand and would do whatever the company said.
And I think that's the sensitive point. I think that's what bothered Roddy Piper so much. And to the same extent, I probably sound contradictory, but that bothers me too. But the main thing is, I mean, it was a tragedy. One comment that I like to make about it that just speaks of Owen's character is when he was falling from the rafters, and this is really something. This, borderline heroic. What he was yelling at the referee Jimmy Corderas to get out of his way because he didn't want to take somebody else down with him. And I was like, oh man. And Owen was not a more lovely guy I don't think has ever existed.
I have chills going up my whole body after you mentioned that because
yeah, I do too. Actually,
it's just weird.
Yeah.
I want to talk about another thing that I think WWE is actually in the wrong about this time, and that's how they treated Joni.
China.
I think that was dealt completely wrong.
Yeah, because Sunny was in the Hall of Fame, and then she went off and did a porn, and they didn't revoke her Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't put China in the Hall of Fame because she'd done porn.
It's
It's a shit double standard.
Well, not only that, but just the entire situation of she's dating Triple H, he cheats on her.
the whole Stephanie McMahon thing.
Yeah, but kind of got a better couple out of the deal.
Okay, sure, but
valid.
I still think, the way they treated her after her departure was...
Yeah. They talked a lot of shit about her.
And then to watch them tweet about her after her suicide was like a kick to the face.
Yeah.
That's like with the Chris Benoit thing.
I was gonna...
That was messed up.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
And,
and now there's hardly any mention of Chris Benoit in WWE. WWE Network does show pay-per-views that have matches with him in it, but they air a warning ahead of time at the beginning of the pay-per-view.
I'm going to say something that I can't defend in the practical sense, and
you better learn to defend it quickly.
Well, all right, I have a practical defense.
Unless I agree with it,
okay.
Then you don't have to defend it.
I don't know if I completely believe that he murdered his family.
I'm not a big buyer of that either myself.
Yeah,
but
I could see it.
It's the whole getting a hold of Chavo Guerrero, the voicemail he left him. I don't buy into the conspiracy of his wife's ex-husband being involved. That's pretty darn ridiculous. But
yeah,
what gets me is like, okay, at first it was this big tragedy, and everybody was pulling for him, and they had this big memory thing for him, and then no, he murdered his family.
That nearly destroyed the company.
Yeah,
too.
they got rid of him and just kind of threw him under a rug and just pretended it didn't happen.
Pretended he never existed.
And then you see stuff like people are talking now.
You want to watch
a suicide, or there was more foul play in it. It wasn't that. So it's like they're switching sides so many times, and they're not really paying.
I guess I don't know the entire story of it. I kind of got out of wrestling for a while.
Yeah,
I heard that he
killed his wife and son,
and then killed himself,
and then 3 days later, or 2 days later, hung himself with a weight machine.
Yeah.
Factually, he did have really profound dementia.
Yeah.
They did an autopsy. It was said that he had basically the mental capacity of a 90-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
And see, I'm wondering if that's why I'm having mental issues right now, is because I've had so many concussions from wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd have a big factor in, like, the mental health aspect.
Yeah,
of
now
wrestling.
I was smart and I didn't ever use a headbutt as a finisher, or I very rarely used a standing headbutt as anything.
Right.
Occasionally I'd use it as filler, but...
And whether it was a suicide, foul play, or anything.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what happened.
He didn't deserve to be treated like that.
No, he did great things.
You wanna watch some really good old Chris Benoit stuff? Watch Pegasus Kid.
Yeah.
Japan stuff.
Oh, it's incredible. And the influence, obviously, the Dynamite Kid. There. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Chris Benoit, Pegasus Kid, back when he had that front tooth.
Nice.
And that's and
you know how he lost that front tooth?
Uh-huh.
He told everybody he lost it in a wrestling match. And then his wife, before she died, said he got headbutted by our dog.
How out of all the things you could have knocked a tooth out of that man, it was a dog.
He was roughhousing with the dog, and the dog came up, and it was a Rottweiler, came up and knocked that tooth right out.
Technically, he was wrestling with the dog, so he's not wrong.
And once again, it's the kind of thing. I don't know what happened. I like what Chris Jericho said about remembering the Chris Benoit that everybody else remembers.
I remember the Chris Benoit that I liked.
Yeah, and it's just it's almost like the Kennedys too, because we're talking about Canadian wrestlers. We're talking about Owen Hart and Chris Benoit, and in history there's this thing of the Kennedy curse. It's almost like that with the Hart family and people affiliated. But we should talk about the sport though. Favorite matches. I don't know.
Oh man.
Yeah.
For me, it would probably have been, first off, would be like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant would be my
WrestleMania
top
3.
one,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it would be like any of the Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior would have been on my thing, because when I was a kid,
I
those
was
were the guys.
never an Ultimate Warrior
Oh,
fan.
dude, that was
The
I'm
Anabolic
going to go
Warrior.
newer. I'm going to say TLC match number 2.
TLC 1.
Where was the ladder match where Hardy came down and broke his leg?
I don't think he ever broke his leg, but
Well,
Hardy
broke
never
his leg. Air
No.
quotes.
You want
He
to
messed
talk?
himself
You
up.
want to talk? Fucked up. Johnny Nitro. What was he going by at that time? He was going by Johnny Nitro at that time. No, because it was M&M.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Johnny-
Nitro was the N. Melina and Mercury, and Joey Mercury was getting ready to take a face shot off of a leapfrog onto the ladder by Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy leapfrogs, hits Joey Mercury in the face with the end of the ladder, and shatters every bone in Joey Mercury's face,
yeah.
and just his face caves in, and he's bleeding and everything.
I'd forgotten about that. That was a hell of a thing. It reminds me of Sid Vicious's leg. Just I got a collective. I just watched that video last night. Just
Ogrish.
Anybody who hasn't seen this, Sid Vicious comes off the top rope.
That's how I broke my right ankle.
Oh god.
It didn't break high up in my leg. It broke my ankle.
Right.
It wasn't
And it was. I was attempting to do a double drop kick, but my leg dropped down, and I landed on it, and I ended up taking a bump backwards. But my foot just rolled under, and I finished out the match with a broken ankle.
Another one of my favorite matches was the
Pretty
Royal-
much, I laid there just sitting, telling the guy,
Yeah.
take it home, please."
The Bret Hart
Please.
broken sternum thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, another one of my favorite matches is the Royal Rumble where John Cena makes a miraculous return after 3 months after tearing his pec.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
No
that
one thought he was going to be back for like a year.
Cena. When somebody says you're going to be out for 6 months, Cena's out for 2.
Yeah, that's true. Say
Somebody
what you want
says
about
you're
that guy.
going to be out for 3 years.
I like John
Cena's
Cena.
back in 6 months.
Passionate about the business. I remember when he was just starting out, he was still wearing red tights and stuff. I remember reading an interview with him in WWE.
The prototype.
Yeah, it was right after that, and I didn't like him back then. I just remember reading an interview with him. I was
Oh
thinking,
no,
he
the
has
ruthless aggression, John Cena.
Yeah, and
with the spiky blonde hair and.
it was after that. No, it was after he
Did you know he's in the WCW movie Ready to Rumble?
Is he really?
He's one of the guys in the gym.
He's
Really?
a weight,
When they
he's
go
a
to talk to
weightlifter.
Goldberg.
I love that movie.
Yeah, because he.
I gotta watch- I
Because he
couldn't-
was
I
with
wish I did.
UWF at the time.
I'm gonna do my favorite matches.
Okay.
They're gonna be obscure. Well, not really. Shouldn't be obscure. I remember Jim Cornette mentioning this match, but SummerSlam '91, Bret Hart against Mr. Perfect, incredible clinic. That was a hell of-
Mr. Perfect was an amazing wrestler.
and that match, him and Bret Hart, it was just a clinic.
That's a tragic loss. Is Mr. Perfect?
Yeah. WrestleMania 13, another Bret Hart match. Imagine I'm not a Bret Hart fan at all. Okay, he's my favorite wrestler ever. But
Really?
yeah, Bret. Yeah, you didn't know that, Destry?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, it's my guy. But yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. I thought that was a fun one. Austin just
The
passing
thing,
up from
the
pain
thing
and
with me
stuff.
and Bret Hart in the early 90s, he was amazing.
Yeah.
But his style didn't change with the style of everybody else.
Yeah.
He stayed the typical 80s wrestler up until like he had his stroke in 2000 whatever.
I
He was
heard he
that
had a
typical
stroke.
80s
Yeah.
wrestler.
It's after a match with Goldberg mule kicked him, and he had a stroke after that. But I don't know. Brett was still forward moving in what he did with Shawn Michaels, I think. in the ring.
He was forward moving, but
In the early '90s, like you said.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. I mean, it was. I mean,
It was the same technical stuff.
and if you enjoy technical wrestling like I do, you know, I loved it. But at the same time, I understand what you're saying. It's always just
Now-
an elbow off the second rope. And,
I have a controversial point where the Montreal Screwjob. I don't know if Sean knew about it.
Sean knew about it.
Yeah.
Sean has said he knew about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he came out and said it, and he hugged it. He hugged it out with.
Yeah. I forgot that. Yeah, he did come out, and yeah, that was a.
Yeah, he knew
I
about
didn't
it
hear about that.
because there's no way you can't know about it.
Yeah.
That's when Vince broke kayfabe that he was just an announcer. When it came out that
Yeah,
he was
right. the owner.
Yeah.
that he was the owner.
Yep.
That was another big event of breaking kayfabe.
Can't believe that's so long ago now. 97. God.
Shit, Gorilla Monsoon's been dead how long?
Oh God, I love Gorilla. God, that guy. Oh.
That guy could announce.
Yeah, but
He was a good wrestler too.
he was
back in his
a
day.
good
Kamala.
wrestler. Yeah, but I just
Kamala.
Kamala. I heard he had to have his legs removed. That's a
Yeah,
shame.
his legs amputated from type 2 diabetes.
That's a
I
shame,
think he
man.
just died,
Oh, I didn't know.
but I'm not sure.
Umaga was one of mine.
Umaga.
Umaga was
Samoan
cool.
wrestler.
That whole Anoa'i family,
Yeah, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yokozuna.
I love them.
Yokozuna was.
Yeah, Rosie just died.
Really? Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
yeah, and now you got the new Anoa'is with Roman Reigns and the Usos, and still bring Rikishi back every once in a while because his boys, the Usos. And then, even if you want to go with the Snuka side of things, Tamina Snuka,
Wrestling families. Yeah.
Jimmy Snuka Jr., the Snukas are related to the Anoa'is.
I saw a post.
And they're all related to the Maivias.
Yeah, Yokozuna and Rikishi. Those guys are.
I saw a post,
Yep.
and I don't know if it's true, but I saw it on Facebook, and it's like The Rock officially enters the 2020 presidential election.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's real,
I doubt it's
I
real.
don't know,
but he's
that'd be-
joked about it on many talk shows before.
Yeah,
And I think he could actually win it.
It's funny.
why not? We have a
Interesting.
reality star in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get on that subject because there
I
might
only
be
brought it up
differing
because it was The Rock,
opinions.
but
We're not
and again, I don't know if it's
political
real.
channel.
Let's talk about something
Huh?
serious
We're
here.
not a political
Yeah.
channel.
Serious. The Shockmaster.
Shockmaster, Frank Ott.
Is that the guy who busted through the wall and fell down?
The bedazzled
I
stormtrooper
think
helmet.
I think it was Frank Ott, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Edge and Christian gave him a redemption chance.
Yeah, and he fell again.
I snorted. Hell. Okay.
Shockmaster.
One thing that I
Do you
thought-
know who did the voice for Shockmaster?
No, who was that?
It was Sting.
Oh, really? Oh no, shit. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that Sting and Ultimate Warrior came up together.
Yeah, they were tag team. Yeah,
they were tag team, the
that's
Blade
why their-
Runners.
That's why their
See, I didn't
makeup
know
was
that.
so similar.
But,
back in the day.
Yeah, they were the Blade Runners trying to play off the Blade Runner movie, but they were surfers.
And then
Makes
another
sense.
big event
And
for
then
me
Ultimate Warrior never changed.
was when Goldust got thrown into the electrical equipment.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And he got
love-
that tick.
I
that
love-
was so funny.
I loved it because all of a sudden Goldust had Tourette's, like me. He had tics and twitches and audible tics, which I have. Finally, there was a pro wrestler that I could look at and go, he's just like me.
And then there was the
I
wrestler.
Except more
love that story.
flamboyant.
Except more flamboyant.
And then
Yeah.
there was the wrestler that was like Brad Eugene.
Oh, Eugene. Yeah.
Eugene,
He was
Nick
kinda-
Dinsmore.
Nick. Yeah.
Nick Dinsmore is, you want to talk a master technician. Watch Nick Dinsmore wrestle.
That was a part of his angle too, like being able to wrestle like everybody else, and he put on some good clinics out there.
Yeah,
I
he is
like
an
that guy.
excellent
Yeah.
wrestler.
One of my favorite moments is when he's getting fired, and The Rock comes and saves him.
I remember that. Yeah, that was. I like that era. It was brief. I can't remember what he got.
Yeah, that was right after the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
right,
the Attitude
right
Era.
around the
Just right on
Ruthless
the cusp,
Aggression
yeah.
era.
I still
But
don't know
not
how I feel
quite.
about the Un-Americans.
The Un-Americans I liked. The Un-Americans as in the Canadian Un-Americans?
Yeah.
Or the Un-Americans that
The
were on
guys who always-
WCW?
Always went out there and tried to burn the flag. Always got stopped.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Edge and Christian and
Lance Storm.
Lance Storm.
Oh, I remember that. I was as you guys were talking about. I was trying to.
That's-
I remember that.
And one of those
Yeah,
events
Lance
is when we
Storm.
got the Kane Rooney.
Yeah.
Oh, the Kane Arena, yeah. Lance Storm was a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
That guy.
Lance
Another
Storm
Canadian.
is an
Who is the
amazing
wrestler in
technician, and he's a
WCW?
trainer now.
Oh, is he?
Came out looking like Sub-Zero.
Glacier.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, Glacier.
Who played that?
I don't know.
I always
because-
thought it was Lance
Because
Storm.
as soon as they got rid of the Glacier gimmick, he quit wrestling.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he couldn't take it anymore that they'd given him such a shit gimmick.
You know who I always liked was Juventud Guerrera.
Mm-hmm.
Hoovy is
That guy's-
still wrestling.
Is he really?
Yes.
It's one of those guys I always mean to look up and see.
On
who's
El
up
Rey
there, but-
channel, there's a show called oh shit, I can't remember what it's called.
Lucha Underground?
Yeah, Lucha Underground.
Yeah, I've never watched that show. I heard about that.
And Hoovy's on there. And what that is it's a TV show. It's not, oh, we're filming wrestling. No, they've got whole storylines. They play characters. And the wrestling is part of the storyline. And then after that, there's more storyline. They have love interests and all this. And the whole time, there's announcers.
Kind of like that new.
Kind of like Glow used to
yeah.
be.
Oh, I heard about that show. I
I
haven't
haven't
seen it. That
watched
sounds
it
Yeah,
But it
well,
looks
if,
good.
if you've ever watched Glow, which was an actual thing in the 80s, which I watched when it was on Netflix before they ever decided to do this.
It's on Netflix now.
Now I watch this new TV series Glow, where they're talking about the making of Glow in the 80s, but they're fictionalizing it, which I've watched every episode, and it's fucking amazing.
I like that first episode when she's auditioning.
Watch all of them.
It just goes and does
Watch
the male
all
part.
of them. It's awesome.
What are some of your favorite?
Oh man, a guy I loved to hate back when I was a kid. There's a few. I would say Sergeant Slaughter hated.
Oh yeah, well
Hey.
he did the whole Iraq that he was.
Yeah, I
like
hated him. I didn't like Iron Sheik, even though he was badass.
Seeing him do that,
Oh yeah, those. Yeah, he would. They were like,
like
swords
no one
and-
else could do it.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I watched the documentary about Iron Sheik,
I think those are called Quran clubs.
and that dude was a bad man. Turns out, like I just thought he was some asshole that I didn't like, and he actually was a good wrestler. He did 1,000
He's an amazing wrestler.
squats a day. Like he would do 1,000 squats, 1,000 push-ups. Like when in his younger years, he wasn't like that potbelly Sheik that we know now, but he was like just
That
jacked.
potbelly sheik that
Well,
we
didn't
know
he
now
go-
is fucking crazy.
Didn't he go to the Olympics for Iraq?
Yeah, he went to
Yeah.
He went to the Olympics.
I remember-
He got gold medals, and he came to America. And I think I'm not sure if I'm correct on it, but I think he went to the Olympics here for the Olympics, and then
Yeah,
he got
for was it wrestling or powerlifting?
wrestling
Yeah, it was
because
wrestling.
he was a Greco-Roman guy,
Yeah.
and like he dropped out for a while. Nobody knew what happened. Apparently, he was homeless, living on the street, selling autographs to live, and he was hooked on drugs really bad.
Mhm.
So in the documentary, it goes about finding him, getting back with his family. He's doing good now, and
Sabu, his great nephew, I think. Sabu is helped him recover.
yeah, he was really cool because like Iron Sheik, is like an important guy, in our like when we're coming up watching wrestling as a kid. That guy that everybody hated, like they hated that guy. At the time he was coming up, nobody liked him, but he was really good at wrestling.
He was a really good heel.
Yeah, he was good.
I'm gonna get off topic of who my favorite wrestlers are and talk about who my favorite people are. One of my best friends when I was living in Omaha was Maurice Mad Dog Vachon.
Really? You knew
Yes.
Mad Dog Vachon?
Yes,
Really?
I went to his house every week and ate dinner.
Huh.
You gotta talk about, this is the car you want.
He owned a car dealership. And every time I'd come in, I'd talk to him, we'd just bullshit. He knew I wasn't going to buy a car because he knew I was a pro wrestler. I was broke. But every time I'd walk in and he'd see me coming, he'd walk out to the front and he had that little hobbled leg because he had a fake leg. He'd walk up and I'd open up the doors and walk in the dealership and he'd slap a car and go, "This is the car you want!" "I'm not buying today." "You sure this is the car you want?" Go out drinking with him. He doesn't drink because of his diabetes.
But you will.
But he's ordering me drinks.
Okay.
And first one comes and I'm drinking a beer. "Beer is girl drink." In his thick French accent. "Beer's a girl's drink. You need whiskey." Take my shot of whiskey. "No, you know what? Whiskey's kind of a girl drink. You need vodka."
Oh, yeah, that's
Okay.
the next level. Moving on to the
You
gray
know
marker.
what? Vodka for Russians. You need tequila.
Oh.
Oh,
Travel the
Jesus
world,
Christ. And I'd be sitting there looking at the tequila, and he'd just be like, "You're not going to drink it, are you?" Because he'd have this thick French accent that would slip in and out.
You never
he'd
told me
been
you knew Mad Dog Vachon. This is so freaking cool.
He'd been living here for so long that
Uh,
he lived in Omaha for 30 years.
I heard he was there. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
aware of that. I
Yeah.
can't remember how I knew that.
I
but yeah,
can't-
that's
The night that he died, they did in memoriam Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, and I couldn't finish watching that episode. I was bawling
yeah. I hear you.
because that's how I found out he died. But yeah, him and his wife used to make me dinner every week.
That's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
my cousin introduced me to him.
I never knew that, Dusty. That's crazy, man. Wow.
Yeah,
You did.
but that thick French accent that would slide in and out.
I knew a guy who,
I never knew if that French accent was real or not.
who knows? I knew a guy.
But he had a gravelly voice.
I knew a guy that worked at the door plant, of all places.
Mad Dog Vachon sounded like you.
Shit.
Shit.
So, this guy, he's telling me, we're talking about wrestling, oh, I like this guy, I like that guy, whatever. He's like, well, I met Roddy Piper. I said, well, how'd you meet him? He's like, well, I used to hang out with him. I said,
Really?
really? And, this is my question. Was like, really? He's like, yeah, I had a thing for his daughter, and I used to hang out. And I was like, well, that would have been a dangerous little love there, So he used to spend a lot of time with him, and got to know him there. So it was pretty crazy that
Wow.
I met a guy here who knew that guy.
Well, that's like our friend Matt is he actually related to him?
To who?
Paul? Matt White.
Related to Roddy Piper? Or
Oh,
related to...
Paul White.
Oh, okay.
Our friend Matt White. No relation.
I didn't think so.
No relation. But he used to claim that he was.
I read Roddy Piper's
He goes
book
by
years ago.
Kristen now.
Best. God, love that guy. Just on every level.
Roddy Piper.
I
just-
don't have words. Yeah, I just...
some of the pranks that you hear him playing or getting played on him,
Yeah.
like the half black face,
Yeah.
and he couldn't scrub it off because it was like shoe polish or some shit.
Nice.
Owen
And
Hart was the
it's
same way with
stained.
ribbing, too.
Owen's the one that ribbed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did the black.
Oh, really? I'll be damned. That makes sense. Yeah, actually, in terms of...
Was it Owen? Was Owen?
I don't know about that.
Was Owen in the company at that time?
He would have been... that would have been early on. He's still wrestling, wearing blue. I think he was in a tag team. But I have to, in terms of people actually in the business, I have to issue an apology to someone specifically, and that man is Glenn Jacobs, otherwise known as Kane.
I love Kane.
I do too. And I last summer I was in Lincoln. SmackDown came to the arena over there, and I couldn't get tickets, but I thought, hell, I'm going to wait around behind the arena, see if I see anybody. And so JBL walks by. I'm like, oh, wow, crazy, JBL. Next thing I know, Kane's walking by, and I had gone to Walgreens and bought a Sharpie and a piece of paper just in case, because I'm a 28-year-old goofball who wants autographs. But Kane walks by, and I'm like, "Hey, thanks for coming to Lincoln, Kane." I scared the hell out of him. I feel so bad because I had this little bag that was just where I kept my food and junk. But
Food and junk. By junk, do you mean beers?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Should've
But
given beer.
but I was. Yeah,
Have a beer, sign my paper.
yeah, he probably thought I was going to shoot him or something, and one of the security guys was like, "Get back!" But he couldn't have been nicer. He's like, "Oh, thanks, buddy," but I scared the hell out of the big red machine. I'm sorry, sorry,
That's
Kane.
awesome.
Didn't mean to do that. So.
I was always a Hacksaw Jim Duggan fan. As a
Oh
kid.
yeah, gotta love that guy.
Oh!
I met
You want
Jake
to
the
talk
Snake
about
Roberts when
this
he was
convention?
here in town.
They did
Yeah, right.
They did a documentary about that, Beyond the
Yeah,
Mat.
Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him when he was here in town, thinking he smelled kind of funny. No, he was smoking crack.
That's how he got paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that documentary was funny too because
You can see me in it.
really
Yep.
to watch that. But
A
the
little,
five of us are
like
sitting
what?
in North Platte, Nebraska, and that
6-year-old
documentary
me.
didn't. That documentary made us look so bad because they were trying to depict Jake's drug addiction and like the direction
They had
his life
that
had
girl
taken.
that had that halter top on with DDT written across her stomach.
Well, and then they show the North Platte,
Who's
the grain
distinctly a
elevators and
plant.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, clearly.
That's funny because I knew a guy at the door plant.
Of course, we are kind of like that.
Who helped him get his drugs when he came here.
Mhm.
So he got to meet him buying drugs in North Platte.
Stories you hear about Jake. It was my I have a really good friend.
I'm glad he's clean now.
Yeah, thanks to Diamond Dallas Page, Scott Hall too, from what I understand. But I shouldn't even tell this story. I'm not gonna
Tell it.
Tell it.
Well,
Peer pressure.
oh god, I have a friend named Carrie Waywright. She's a really good actress and a good friend of mine. And she was at a comic book convention kind of thing, and Jake was there, and Jake kind of sexually harassed her, and one of his people asked her, "Do you want to touch Jake's nipples?" And it's just the most, and
That's so fucking bizarre.
yeah, it kind of is, and Carrie's just there couldn't be a more reasonable person. She kind of sent a bit of an editorial to the convention people about the inappropriate actions of the man known as the Snake. I think there was some other allusion to asking if she wanted to touch his snake also. And
No shit.
oh, Jake, come on now.
Come on.
Come on now. You're better than that. Don't bother my friend.
I've got a story about people down on their luck. The first time I went to Comic-Con in San Diego was me and my ex-girlfriend's brother, Ryan. We were walking through the autograph area, and there's this big booth set up. Said, "Meet Pro Wrestling's Virgil."
Oh yeah, Virgil, right on.
Went up, got an autograph from Virgil, paid $50 for an autograph of Virgil on a picture of Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, and Virgil's just here in this corner as the valet.
Right.
And yeah, $50 for that.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, I paid it.
Gosh, what was he when he was in WCW for a minute? I think that was him. I can't remember now, but yeah, it's a shame.
He was in WCW. He was Virgil there too, because it's his real name.
He was with the NWO, I thought.
Yep.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
Yep. No, he was Vincent.
Vincent. Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. Yeah, he was Vincent when he was at the NWO.
Yeah. I guess he sets up booths and sells his autographs just to get by now.
That's sad. Sad.
Yeah, there's people that post on a group I belong to on Facebook, which I can't quite remember the name now. It's Kayfabe something or other. Oh, it's Cult of Kayfabe. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. On Cult of Kayfabe, there's people that'll post pictures, just Virgil, big booth, everything, meet pro wrestling's Virgil on a street corner.
You know, there's blues musicians out there that'll play for Kessler and Cheeseburgers, actually.
I mean, that's not a bad living. I'd do that. I like
It's apple
cheeseburgers.
juice that I'm sipping, if you
Yes.
want to use that.
Kessler's apple juice.
If you want
Yeah.
something funny, in the
All you need
documentary
is a cheeseburger.
about Iron
He
Sheik,
got paid to play
if you
tonight.
follow
so-
him on Twitter, follow Iron Sheik on Twitter. He talks shit on like a bunch
On
of stuff.
everybody.
And it's
Really?
funny as hell.
I'm
Yeah,
getting
he's
more and more
funny.
interested in the Iron Sheik. That's somebody that I didn't know
Oh,
about
Sheik is
personally.
awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, he is
He is
funny.
funny.
Huh.
And I guess
And he's like that in real life. He's just,
Yeah.
he's a dick.
and
But he's a fun dick.
His
Yeah.
Hall of Fame induction speech was pretty great. They're kind of trying to get him off the stage, it seemed like. I don't know if he'd...
you know, I guess there was a guy trying to date Iron Sheik's daughter, and the daughter's like, man, I hate trying to bring guys home to meet my dad, you know, with him being famous, and
Right.
he was always about being like strong, and they'd have to go out in the yard and wrestle him and shit, just to like be okay to date his daughter and stuff.
Yeah,
So I thought that was funny because I could see me
fair
doing
enough.
that when I'd have a daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing about Hall of Fame is it seems like the wrestlers you'd think would be in there instantly take like a million years to get in.
Yeah.
Like Ultimate Warrior.
They just inducted the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
takes a long time. They should have been in way before. And like what was sad about Ultimate Warrior, he gave this badass speech and died the next
day. Yeah.
after being inducted. I was like heartbroken. You know, that was my guy.
I wasn't a fan of the Ultimate Warrior, but I still appreciate what he did for the business.
I got confused every time he opened his mouth.
Everybody
Yes!
did. Everybody did. No one
Nobody
knew what
could
the hell
understand
he
him.
Beams and
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, if you go look up on YouTube his old shit, he talks about all kinds of stuff, like the wrestling business. Like, talks shit on the WWE, like what was wrong with things. He talks shit about Hulk Hogan. Like, he makes good points about stuff, but he's still crazy. Even though he doesn't have his face paint on and, you know, arm tassels and shit.
He still does the bull
you
snort.
remember when he came on to WCW?
Yeah.
The whole big mystery of what this because he had that new face paint.
Right.
And no one knew what it was, and then he just comes out in like this ratty ass like duster. And he was only around for like what, 6 months?
Hulk Hogan said, "I thought you were dead," or something. That's a stupid conspiracy theory too. That there's two Ultimate Warriors. It's really
Yeah.
silly, but it's.
Yeah,
I
well,
think there's an
I
episode
think
where he talks about it.
Oh,
I
really?
think there's valid reason for a conspiracy of two Ultimate Warriors because at one point in time there were two Undertakers, two Canes.
That is true.
If
yeah,
you wear face paint and have long hair, you're easily simulated by a wig and face paint.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta be jacked as shit if you're gonna be the Ultimate Warrior, but
Yeah.
you know, I just thought, you know, how he went through and he did his thing in wrestling, and then like it just made sense of all the nonsense he talked through his whole career, and then like you get this thought, it's like, man, if they ever induct that guy, which I don't think they're ever gonna induct him in the Hall of Fame, he's probably gonna die after, and then what happens? Next day, dead.
Yeah, right
Fuck.
on.
You know,
You killed him.
Well, technically they inducted him into the Hall of Fame. Then there was WrestleMania. Then he made a speech on Raw.
Yeah.
And then he died. So it was over a 4-day period, but
it was
inducted WrestleMania, Raw, dead, walking out to his car from eating.
damn it. Not how I thought he'd go out, but you know, that's
Nope.
just sad.
One of my favorite.
But you know what? Those were some killer tacos.
Yeah.
One of my more recent favorite events was this last WrestleMania.
Yeah, the Hardy Boys.
The Hardy
coming
Boys
back.
came back.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Crazy
loved
thing.
it. It gave me instant wood.
That's a war boner.
Yeah, war boner.
War boner for our listeners. It's
And they
important.
won.
And they won. That made me. I
Apparently
literally
they-
jumped up and went.
Apparently they don't hold the titles anymore.
Nope. Nope. Sheamus and
I don't even like
Cesaro.
Sheamus. Fuck.
Cesaro won them in a cage match.
Tan.
Well, folks, I think that's going to do it for part 2. Stay tuned. Keep listening. We'll have a part 3 for you coming soon.
Thank you.